Seeing the appearance of the Staff of Destruction, even Ling Han revealed an expression of utmost seriousness. After a martial artist has reached the spiritual ocean tier, they would be able to use their own origin power to refine weapons, making the attack power of the weapon soar. The higher the cultivation level of the martial artist, the more powerful his weapon would be. For example, the weapon used by a powerful warrior of heaven tier would be able to instantly eliminate a martial artist in deity transformation tier. If I could find the weapon I used in my last life, Cloud Dragon Sword, that'd be great. I'd be invincible in the whole of Rain Country. Ling Han thought, yet quickly laughed in spite of himself. With his current cultivation level, he couldn't even get within 100 meters of Cloud Dragon Sword. If he did, then he'd definitely be directly shattered by the aura of a weapon used by a powerful warrior of heaven tier. But even if I could obtain Cloud Dragon Sword now, I wouldn't use it anyways. Otherwise, training myself in this life would lose its significance. While he had been thinking pensively, Baili Tengyun and Jin Wuji had began a fierce battle. The Staff of Destruction was indeed very powerful. After pouring origin power into it, a few seals actually lit up on the body of the staff. However, these seals should be covering the whole body of the staff, yet only a mere few had lit up. With the aid of the powerful Staff of Destruction, Baili Tengyun regained his footing in the battle, but it was still very far from allowing him to gain victory. Even so, many people were still gasping in shock at the power and might of the Staff of Destruction. It truly deserves to be the weapon used by a powerful warrior. I heard that this kind of weapon is also known as Spirit Weapon. Apparently, it seems to have its own intelligence and is able to help its user increase his battle prowess. Unfortunately, only powerful warriors that have reached Spiritual Ocean tier at least are able to refine these kinds of weapons. In the whole Dayuan city, only our Dayuan king has this kind of ability. So according to you, wouldn't that mean that everyone in the royal house of the Dayuan king could have a spirit weapon of their own? How could that be possible? Firstly, this kind of weapon has to be able to sustain the origin power of a martial artist of spiritual ocean tier. Otherwise, if such powerful origin power is poured into it day and night, it'd very quickly shatter. Moreover, to produce a spirit weapon, a normal weapon would have to be nurtured by a powerful warrior of spiritual ocean tier for 20 years or more. Just think, when the Dayuan king broke through to the spiritual ocean tier, how old was he? Even if materials were sufficient, how many spirit weapons could the king forge? I see. Yet Ling Han only shook his head in disappointment. Many years ago, this Staff of Destruction may have been very extraordinary, but now, because of extremely severe deterioration, the spiritual seals engraved on it were almost completely destroyed. There was barely 1% of its original power remaining. However, in a place such as Dayuan City, even a ruined spirit weapon could create an extremely large commotion. After all, even the materials it was made of were extremely valuable on their own. The two young men continued exchanging blows, battling fiercely. In terms of power, Jin Wuji possessed an absolute advantage. However, Baili Tengyun possessed a spirit weapon. Even if it was a weakened one, it still allowed him to possess great power and fight with Jin Wuji on equal terms. After the two fighters had exchanged a few hundred blows, Jin Wuji still managed to claim victory due to his more plentiful experience. Meanwhile, after Baili Tengyun had lost this battle, he could only claim the 4th place in this tournament at the very most. He was extremely dissatisfied about this kind of result, but in the minds of the others, this was already very impressive. After all, Baili Tengyun was only 18 years old this year. Who would be able to match him in the next tournament or the one after? However, Jin Wuji managed to win more praise and compliments. He is indeed Jin Wuji. He's really way too powerful. Even producing a spirit weapon is not enough to suppress him. Looks like Li Dongyue is no longer a match for him, but I don't know who is stronger, him or the 4th prince. If it was in the past, I would definitely think that the 4th prince is stronger, but now, I think Jin Wuji also has a very high chance of victory. Me too. After the battle with Baili Tengyun, Jin Wuji's fame reached a whole new level. He had already surpassed Li Dongyue, and was already shoulder to shoulder with the fourth prince's level. This caused Li Dongyue to feel much regret. If he had known this would happen, he would have gone to Huyang Academy 3 years ago. Jin Wuji began to regain his composure. Very soon, he would be issuing a challenge to Li Dongyue, and after that, he would be facing the fourth prince directly. The other competitors also began issuing their own challenges. Ling Han did not stay idle. Because there was a limited half an hour's time for rest, he had to make full use of his time. Otherwise, if 2 of the competitors ahead of him battled for too long, causing him to have to wait impatiently for the half an hour of resting time to pass, he might not have enough time to challenge all the way to the first place. He issued a challenge to the 7th stage master. This was a young man who looked to be about 20 years old. With a long sword strapped to his back and a tall, slender figure, he appeared very confident and at ease. The typical weapons martial artists used were either sabers or swords. But the higher the cultivation level, the weirder and rarer weapons became common as well. For example, umbrellas, pagodas, mirrors, or even pens that with a single wave could split rivers and break mountains, possessing terrifying power. "I am Lian Tao. Please offer your guidance, Brother Ling," the young man said, clasping his hands in greeting. "Please." Ling Han clasped his hands in response. "Ha!" Lian Tao drew his sword, and it was as if the sword and the wielder had become one, flying towards Ling Han. 7th layer of element gathering tier. Ling Han fearlessly brandished his own sword in a parry. Although he was in the 4th layer of element gathering tier, with the added support of the 5 elements origin nuclei, his actual ability could be compared to the 8th layer of element gathering tier. He was no longer weaker than his opponent. Moreover, he still possessed the lone wolf's blood, which could further increase his power. In terms of power, he would definitely not lose to any normal person in the 9th layer of element gathering tier. Otherwise, he would not have dared to say with such certainty and confidence that he would get the first place in this tournament. Ding, 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 ding. The 2 of them were soon embroiled in a fierce battle. Their respective swords continuously met each other in a clash, repeatedly producing fiery sparks due to the friction between their blades. The reason why Lian Tao had been able to qualify for the top 10 was because his cultivation level was high enough. However, he could not really be considered as a genius because he had not managed to produce sword chi. The sword arts technique he was using was also only a yellow-grade, low-level martial arts technique. Additionally, he had only reached the minor accomplishment level in this sword arts technique. The advantage of a high cultivation level was a stronger power, but now even the power he had gained from his cultivation level was no match for Ling Han. So how could he still possibly win? After only a few moves, he had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. There are 3 black-grade alchemists standing behind this person. Additionally, it's impossible for me to get the first place. Then there isn't much of a difference between the 7th and 8th place anyways. Why don't I do him a favor and forfeit directly? I will help him save some origin power this way. Lian Tao thought. He suddenly retreated a few steps. Withdrawing his sword, he said, "I am no match for Brother Ling. I forfeit." Eh? He forfeited? Just like that? When Ling Han looked at the knowing smile on his opponent's face, understanding dawned on him. Lian Tao was deliberately doing him a favor. He could not help smiling in spite of himself. If he really had put in full effort, he would be able to instantly defeat his opponent in one move. However, whether he needed it or not, Lian Tao had still done him a favor, so he nodded in acknowledgement at Lian Tao. The 2 of them exchanged tournament stages. Ling Han did not rest. This battle did not expend much of his origin power, so he immediately issued a challenge to the 6th stage master. The stage master of this stage was Xuanhuan, a genius that had just recently emerged in the past 2 years. He was in the 8th layer of element gathering tier. "Brother Ling, please," Xuanhuan said very politely. Although he was very proud due to his young age and had a very high opinion of himself, the fact that Ling Han had 3 black-grade alchemists behind him still caused him to obediently put away his usually arrogant attitude. "Please." Ling Han replied politely, "If a person treated you respectfully, so must you be respectful in response." The two of them moved at the same moment. Xia Zhongguang's weapon was a spear, and he had also managed to form spear chi. When he waved his 2-meter-long spear in a dance, the might behind his movements was overbearingly powerful. It had fully displayed the unique trait of a spear, which was, the longer it was, the more powerful it was.